Wonderful. I think this is my first call with you guys, so it'll be nice to know each one of you guys. And I hope all of y'all are safe.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. How exciting. We're so happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right. So I just started recording. So my name is Neen Fuliano, and I'm the creatrix and the owner of Urban Oracle. And I'm super excited to have you here today. And I'm joined by two of my Sacred Seed Coven sisters, Amanda and Katie. And I'll let them introduce both of themselves, and then we'll talk about some logistics before we get started on our call. So Amanda, you want to say hello?
Yes. Hi, Janita. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's very nice to have someone so far away sharing the space with us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie. It's nice to have you here. I love all these different cultures that have been coming together. Last time we had somebody from, what was it?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, yeah. So that was really interesting. So I'm so happy you could be here with us.
Thank you guys, all three of you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. All right. So just a few logistics before we dive in. I'm going to, where is my, oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna share this screen with you real quick. So we invite you to stay connected with us. Are you all able to see the Urban Oracle image? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
Yes.
So we have an email list. We only send out 1 or 2 emails a month, so we don't bombard your inbox. It's just to let you know if we have a new program launching or a new mentoring service or something new that's a new product that's available in our shop. That's the only time you'll get emails from us. You can follow us on Facebook or YouTube, which is very easy to search. We're the only Urban Oracle out there. And on Instagram, our handle is a little bit different. It's actually Urban Oracle Shop. So that's where you can find us on Instagram. And then our email, very simple, urbanoracle@gmail.com. So most of everything we offer is customizable. So if you're looking for anything particular, you can always just email us and ask if we can modify something or add very specific ingredients, and we can make you something special. So that's one way to stay connected with us. And then the other thing is that this video and all of our Sabbath celebrations are going to be made available on our YouTube channel at Urban Oracle. And so you'll always be able to find our Sabbath celebrations there. And it's a free subscription. You can just subscribe and you'll get a little notification anytime we post anything new there. Okay, so we'd love to have you stay connected with us. So to begin with, Katie is going to start us off with some history surrounding Beltane. And I'm just going to pull up a little collage to share while she's talking with us. All right. All right, Katie, take it away.
Great, thanks so much. So Beltane is Celtic in tradition, though there are several different ancient cultures that celebrated similar festivities around the same time, like ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, Greece, places like that. But Beltane specifically is Celtic in tradition, and it's been around since the Iron Age. It's celebrated traditionally, historically celebrated through Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. And the earliest mention of Beltane is in Old Irish literature from Gaelic Ireland from about 900 CE. Beltane was one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals. We have Samhain, which was around November 1st, end of October, 1st November. Imbolc, which is around the 1st of February. Beltane, which is around the 1st of May, and Lunacy, which is around the 1st of August. Beltane is a fire festival that is all about welcoming summer. Ancient Celts would celebrate the release of the sun, which their myths said was held prisoner during the winter months. The word Beltane likely refers to two different terms. Bel, the first one, is a reference to the Celtic sun god Belinus. And then we have the Gaelic word Tain, which stands for fire. The oldest known customs of Beltane are the giant bonfires that are still used today in celebrating Beltane, specifically in Edinburgh in Scotland. They have huge bonfires that they use to celebrate Beltane, even to this day. Flames, smoke, and ashes of these special Beltane bonfires were believed to have protective powers, and the fire itself was considered sacred, and they called this sacred fire Tain Again. People would leap over these fires for a number of reasons. They would leap over fires to purify themselves, to encourage fertility, and also these fires were used during hand fasting ceremonies. So whenever they do things like leaping over the fire, we're not talking about, like those giant bonfires. We're talking about low, tamer bonfires where people could symbolically purify themselves. So the earliest mention of Beltane is in, like I said, Old Irish literature from Gaelic Ireland. The texts say that to protect the cattle from disease, the Druids, which were specific to ancient Ireland and the Isle of Man, the Druids would make two fires with great incantations and drive the cattle between them. So not only was it protection and purification for people, but they also used the Druids, who were their philosophers, their doctors, the very important people in their society. They used these people to also protect their livestock. So when these festivities drew to a close, people would actually take some of the sacred fire to reignite in their own homestead fires, to keep that sense of protection and purification going in their own homes. So a couple of more popular aspects of Beltane is the maypole. And this is actually speculated to have originated in Germanic paganism of the Iron Age. But of course, once Roman rule and Greek rule and Christianity and things like that came over, it kind of shifted and it was incorporated into several different cultures. But the maypole is a phallic symbol. It's a fertility rite meant to symbolize the union of the masculine and the feminine. The pole itself is made from a young tree. That tree represents the masculine side of the equation. And it's wrapped in ribbon and foliage, which the ribbon and the foliage represents the feminine. So the story that kind of goes hand in hand with this fertility rite, the symbolizing of masculine and feminine uniting, it kind of goes hand in hand with the May Queen and the Green Man, which is of course from Celtic belief systems. The May Queen embodies purity and strength and the potential for growth. She is the personification of the energy of the earth. And the Green Man represents the life that grows on Earth. So, of course, they cannot exist without each other, which makes this rite, this passage, this festival so important, honoring the union between these two masculine and feminine energies. So when the horned god is the winter aspect of the green man. He sees the May Queen in her maiden form. He realizes that to be with the woman that he loves, he's going to have to undergo this huge change. So, as they process together around a hill, he prepares to surrender his life to her. She then gives him life energy and brings him back to life in his new form as the Green Man so they can be together. And the Green Man has several different names. He's known, as the Horned God, which is, like I said, the winter aspect. If you remember, this is all about welcoming in summer. So we're transitioning from winter, spring into summer. Also, the Green Man has been known as Ceranos as well, as a part of Celtic paganism. The May Queen herself has several different names. So these traditions are kind of melting pot of several different belief systems that are relatively similar. Places like Ireland and Wales, Scotland, Manx, Isle of Man, in that area, they all have different names for these deities, these energies, but they all kind of represent the same thing. Also, something that goes hand in hand with Beltane, with the Maypole, with the story of May Queen and the Green Man, is going a Maying. So a Maying is a time where couples would spend the night in the woods and fields, make love, and they brought back armfuls of the first May flowers. Everyone was free to enact the sacred marriage of the goddess and the god. And there was an accepted tradition of Beltane babies arriving 9 months later. So again, this Beltane is all about purity, but it's also very much about fertility and about the coming together of the male and female energies.
That's awesome, Katie. Thank you so much for sharing the history. All right. So I'm going to share with you some arts and crafts that are appropriate for Beltane. But before we do that, our sweet friend Ray has just popped on. Ray, would you like to introduce yourself and let the group know where you're dialing in from? And you're on mute, love. You're on mute. There you go. Hi.
Myself. Hi, I'm Ray. I'm from Austin, but I'm actually in Wimberley right now at a work retreat. So we just had a break, and I was really happy that it coincided our lunch with this because I didn't want to miss out.
Hi, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so for arts and crafts, like Katie was sharing, Beltane is a fire festival, a seasonal celebration of that transition from spring to summer. We're finally stepping into summer. So any crafts you do that involve the element of fire are particularly appropriate during this particular festival. And like Katie was saying, Beltane occurs on May 1st. So we wanted to do this call a week early to give all of you ample time to gather your things, to prepare your space, and to make any preparations you may need so that you have an opportunity to fully celebrate Beltane for the first time or in a new way, and incorporate some fun and new traditions for yourself. So things that you can do with crafting with fire is we want to encourage people to investigate different ways of performing a fire ceremony, whether that's with a tiny little fireproof container within your home, be safe, or if it's with a campfire or a bonfire outside. There's lots of different fire rituals and fire ceremonies that can be performed. And almost all lineages across the globe have very specific fire ceremonies and rituals to their own respective traditions. So there's lots of resources available to you to find something to try. And I do want to say that anything that we share on this call today, we're going to tell you how you can learn more about any of the things we're sharing. We're going to share how to learn more at the end. So just make notes of things you would like to learn more about and make sure that we address them at the end. And if not, just let us know and we can speak to that. So another thing you can do to work with the element of fire is to make your own incense. Make your own Beltane incense. So if you ever had a desire to make your own incense cones, like in that collage we shared when Katie was sharing the history, what you're going to need is you will need either natural resins or wood powders as your base. So either of those two things will get you going in making your own homemade incense cones, or you can even roll them onto a stick to make your own incense stick. But those are the two things, either of those will be needed as your base. So resin or a wood powder. And then from there, you can add other ingredients, either for the spiritual properties that they hold, or to add additional fragrance to your blend. So you can add dried herbs, dried flowers. One thing I will say about adding essential oils to incense or adding essential oils to any fire related practices, if you're using a truly pure essential oil, and that's confusing for a lot of people because essential oils is an unregulated industry. So all bottles say they're 100% pure, but really less than 7% across the planet of bottles that say they're 100% pure are actually pure. So when you're using truly pure essential oils with the element of fire, it actually does not work out so good. You will not be able to smell them, and they smoke like crazy. So they burn super fast and hot, and you'll get thick black smoke from them, and there's no lovely fragrance to be had. So if you do want to incorporate flower essences, those beautiful extracts, don't waste your beautiful medicinal gems of essential oils with the element of fire. You can find lots of cheap essential oils. They're available everywhere, and those might have a different effect. I only work with pure essential oils, so I don't know exactly what will happen when you use a cheaper essential oil. But I do know that there's a lot of candle recipes, and there are incense recipes that encourage you to use essential oils. So I'm assuming that it would work out okay if you're using ones that are not really pure, even if they say they are. So just know that. Save your medicinal gems, invest in a cheaper synthetic that's, if it's not expensive, then chances are that one might work okay with the fire element. Okay, so once when you combine your resin or your wood powders and your herbs and your flower essences, whatever you want to make, you want to grind them, all of it, into a powder. And using a pestle and mortar is a great way to grind these things into a fine powder. Also, I found that using a coffee grinder, like an electric coffee grinder, works really well too. So just make sure that whatever you stick in your coffee grinder is edible. Just keep that in mind. But after you got all of your ingredients finely powdered, then you just add them all into the same bowl, and you start with just a trickle of water, just adding a little bit of water bit by bit until you get a thick paste. If you add too much water, your batch is kind of ruined and you got to start over. So think less is more and just add a little bit of water at a time. But once when you get a paste going, then you can kind of form your cones. And there are like silicone dishes and things like that you can buy to make a cone mold. But you can also make them by hand, no problem. So once when you make them by hand and you get them formed in the shape you want, whether you're rolling them onto sticks or rolling them into cones, I don't know how long it takes for the sticks to dry. I would imagine much less time. But for the cones themselves, you want to place them on a sheet of parchment paper and allow them to dry for 12 hours before you actually light them. So, and the bottom of the cone is going to need air and oxygen too. So maybe after 6 hours, just kind of tip the cone over on its side so that base is allowed to dry out as well before you actually burn them. All right, another really great thing that you can make for crafting with Beltane is to make your own maypole creation. So making a huge structure maypole like outside is really ambitious. Some people might not be up for that. But one thing you can do is you can make a tiny little altar maypole in your house to celebrate, like Katie was saying, that divine masculine, divine feminine, fertility celebration, and union of the masculine and feminine energies. So I don't know if you noticed the collage while Katie was sharing the history, but there was a tiny little wood centerpiece that you can fix a dowel to. And then you just are attaching different colored ribbons to it. So you're creating this tiny little replica of a maple. Another cheap and very easy thing you could do would be to stick a stick of incense in a bowl of rice, and that can act as your pole. And then you could attach ribbons to the top of the incense stick. So there's very simple ways that you can recreate this altar item. And you can also get really elaborate with it too. But doing an altar or shrine maypole in your home is an easy, very Beltane appropriate craft that you can do. Another thing that's really brilliant to create during Beltane is creating what is called a witch's ladder. So a witch's ladder is just like how the ribbons of the maypole are twisted and braided together around the pole as the maidens dance around and weave in and out of each other. Doing crafts that involve braiding or knotting are very appropriate to Beltane. And again, with that union, there's that interwoven mingling of divine masculine and divine feminine. So braiding crafts are great. Knitting would be great during this time as well. But there is no better braiding and knotting craft than creating what's called a witch's ladder. So essentially, a witch's ladder is where you are taking materials that you can braid and knot for the purpose of holding your intention, your prayer, your wish, or your spell. Okay, so it's the intention is for it to hold your spell or your wish or prayer. Hi, Naomi. Thanks for joining us. If you wouldn't mind muting your microphone, welcome to the call. So you can make a witch's ladder out of all sorts of materials, would work. You can make them out of ribbons, thread, string, yarn, rope, anything that can be braided or knotted will work just great. You can also adorn them with literally anything. Like there's so many different ways to make witch's ladders, which makes them a really fun craft. And for spell weavers, it's really exciting for spell weavers who are also into arts and crafts. Because if you're into arts and crafts and creating things with your hands, this is like a spell weaver's dream come true to make witch's ladders. And it's very likely that your home is going to be riddled with them. But in terms of adorning, you can adorn them with herbs, you can adorn them with flowers, pieces of wood, branches, charms, gems, feathers, literally anything that makes sense for the spell you're creating will work with creating a witch's ladder. Witch's ladders can also be small in the sense that they can even fit in your pocket, or they can be really big. You can attach them to your purse, to your bag. They could hang from your ceiling. There's lots of different ways to work with them. And essentially, what you would do is you would write a spell or a prayer or a wish, if the word spell is uncomfortable, a prayer or wish mantra, like same. Okay, they all hold similar energy. Okay, but essentially what you're doing is you're writing a spell, stating what your intention is and what it feels like to have that intention fulfilled. You want to have those two components as part of what your spell states. Okay, but you write your spell with your goal or your intention, and then you pick out your ingredients or your materials for your spell, okay, that are in alignment and complement the spell that you're creating. And then while you begin to braid or while you begin to doing a knot spell, you're going to be repeating your spell over and over and over again as you're creating this beautiful witch's ladder. So some people do just the braiding with a spell. Some people do a knotting spell with their spell. Some people just do a knotting spell with an intention in mind. And some people combine both braiding and knotting. Now, knotting spells typically have 10 knots. And if you go on Instagram or Pinterest, it's very easy to find pretty similar language that can be used for what you would say as you're creating each knot for your 10 knots. Okay, so the important thing is that whatever language you find to say over each of the knots as you create each one really resonates for you. And if you don't find any that resonate for you, write your own. Okay, it's your spell, it's your intention, it's your creation. So it's important that the words that you speak and say to draw something into your being really resonate for you. So, oh, I don't have anything near me. 1 second, I'm so sorry. It's just across the other side of the room. 1 minute. Okay. So sorry about that. Okay, so this here is a traveling witch's ladder. Okay, these are something that we are going to release in our Urban Oracle shop starting next week. Mine's a little wrinkly because I use it a lot. The ones that I'm selling are totally pristine. But basically it's got 15 different colors of ribbons on it. And it comes with this very tiny little pocketbook that explains how to use a witch's ladder, how to make a witch's ladder using your traveling witch's ribbons. And it also speaks to what each color of the ribbons stands for, what the significance is with each of those specific colors. So for a traveling witch's ladder, I don't know if any of you have read the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness, but the main character in that book, she has, the TV show depicts it differently than it does in the book, but in the book, it talks about how Diana Bishop has her ribbons like kept in her pocket. Okay, so that was kind of the inspiration when I created this, was to create a witch's ladder that people can continue to work with. So the point of this is, for this type of witch's ladder, the real goal and point of this specific type is to stretch, flex, and exercise your spell weaving muscle. Okay, this is something where you pick 3 ribbons that really symbolize the intention and goal that you're wishing to attract and manifest, that spell you're wishing to cast and put out there. You're going to braid and or knot them together, and then once it comes true, you undo it, shake it out, and now you can start again with something new that you're wishing to manifest. Okay, so with that in mind, this is the witch's ladder that you assemble and disassemble and reassemble again. So it really is about stretching and flexing your spell crafting and your spell weaving muscles. But most witches' ladders are things that you create and then you leave up hanging until you no longer need it. Everything that you create your witch's ladder from, you just want to make sure that it can be earth friendly. Like this traveling witch's ladder is a little different because I'm going to keep it. But if it's something you're trying to attract just for Tuesday, and once when Tuesday passes and you no longer need that magic, it's a great idea to return any materials you use back to the earth. So it's great to be working with biodegradable materials and things that are super earth safe and friendly. So just be really mindful about that. If it's not safe for the earth, don't give it to the earth. Find a way to repurpose something if you can. But yeah, returning things to the earth that you use for your spellcraft is what we recommend. It's how we try to continue to deepen and work in harmonious relationship with the earth and all her many beings and creatures in the elements. So re-giving it up to the earth is a form of offering and deepening that relationship. Okay, so now I am going to turn the call over to Amanda, and Amanda's going to share with you about how to make a fairy garden. She's going to let me know when to like toggle through the next slide. So let me share the screen real quick to her little presentation, and we will get going. All right, take it away, Amanda.
Thank you, Neen. So you can see here this beautiful little garden here with all these stones and flowers. And she got a little tea with Most likely fairies. Like there's a tiny chair right there. Well, the idea of a fairy garden is to get you in touch with the different types of fairies. And strangely enough, I had a nap today and dreamt that I saw like 5 different types of fairies. It was amazing. I was like, the dream was so real. I didn't question it, and I felt like, yeah, it was so real. When I woke up, I was like, where was I? Anyways, so this is going to help you get in touch with the fairies because during Beltane, just like Samhain, the veil is super thin, the veil between the other world and the other worlds. And fairies, they like to show themselves whenever you build a relationship with them, and they like certain things. So, Neen, if we can go to the next slide.
Yep. Oh, right there. Sorry. I'm trying. There we go.
Beautiful. Okay. It serves as a good place to leave fairy offerings, this fairy garden. It invites good energy into your garden to support growth, and it strengthens your imagination. It also deepens your connection to Earth because building this will require, some time and attention. Next. So these are some things that you can offer fairies. You can give them a walnut-sized bowl of alcohol or any type of beverage that they have told you they desire or that you just feel is what you want to offer them. You always can give organic berries, birdseed, share crystals with them, and flower petals. You can also share wildflower seeds, which the fairies can take and make your garden even beautiful than they already are. And then you can give them blessed water as like an offering, or organic mushrooms. Fairies really like shiny things, including nickels and dimes. This fellow witch that I listened to, she was talking about how she had a fairy garden with her daughters and how she doesn't even believe in fairies, but they would find crystals laying out in the garden multiple occasions. And she was just so impressed. She's like, I don't know, I'm in awe. I don't even know how this happened. But it still brings her so much joy, even though her children are much older now. The next slide, please, Neen. So there's 4 simple steps to creating a fairy garden. It's super easy. You just pick where it'll be, plan the layout, and you can like draw little lines in the dirt or on a piece of paper. You'll want to pick like a focal point, like maybe a bigger item or like a miniature gnome or a type of fairy statue that you have. That way you can kind of like get your creative juices flowing and have a pretty little garden. Then at the last step is to add all the other tiny furniture or accessories or plants that you might want in your garden. Next slide, please, Neen. So like I said, it's super easy to make a fairy garden. It doesn't have to be one particular thing. It just has to be for the fairies. And it can be big or small. Next slide, Neen. You can order it from Etsy. They have so many different miniature things that you can put in a fairy garden if you want to get really like cutesy with it. But you don't even have to do that. There are a lot of things that you can do just with what you already have. Next slide, Neen. It can be homemade. You can make a little tiny lanterns for them from crystals and acorns. You can make a little house out of rocks and wood and grass you already have, or just build a little birdhouse. Next, Neen. You can add a tiny door to pretty much anything.
I love this one, like the little door with the mushrooms, like
Right?
so cute.
So like you can find your spot, and then like if your spot has mushrooms like that, then you'll be like, oh man, I can use that and get creative. Or even if it doesn't have mushrooms and you just like have a random interesting looking tree that looks like a home, or like in the little crevice here, you can add a little door and it sparks everything up.
So cute.
Next slide, Neen. You can repurpose a planter. It doesn't have to actually be in your garden. You can have this indoors. The planter can be small, it can be big. It can be a repurposed planter.
These are amazing.
Right?
Like, how did they create the steps? Those multiple little levels.
They did some crafty work with the different pieces.
Are they using just like the broken bits from the part they cut out? And
it looks like on the far left one and the far right one, definitely. But I'm wondering if the one in the middle is like a bunch of different pots that they had to use, different sizes. Because
I don't know.
They got that all from one pot.
It looks amazing. I want to live there.
I know. Maybe we'll turn into little miniature fairies and get to live in our fairy garden.
Or hire a very cool architect to recreate this.
I know. Sorry. My imagination got carried away with me because of how beautiful these are.
Right.
Next slide, please, Neen.
Got it.
You can use multiple planters. I really like this because like it's like you have different levels of the house, or it can be like a little village for multiple fairies.
Totally.
Next slide, please. Or you can use anything you already have outside. You can use a bathtub, you can use a birdhouse. I mean, not a birdhouse. Well, yes, you can use a birdhouse you already have. You can use a bird fountain, and well, pretty much anything. I don't know what you have in your yard, but if you have something that's an eyesore, you can make it extra pretty and change your whole background and your whole backyard just by turning that into a little home for fairies. Next slide, please, Neen. And then you can use things that you already have on the inside of the house. It can be a really, really tiny fairy garden. I can't believe they made one out of a book.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
It is super cute.
I'm gonna have to do the book one over the summer.
Yeah.
That's totally you. That's totally you. So you don't always have to do, like, if you wanted to be outside but your area just doesn't promote a lot of growth and like wildflowers or like things, you can use succulents or really any type of flower that you feel like kind of is your jam or you think might be the fairies' jam. But that is all that I have for fairy gardens. Does anybody, well, I guess we're waiting for the end for questions, right, Neen?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's back up. Thank you so much, Amanda, for putting that together for us.
You're welcome.
People love visuals. Visuals are great, and those are such cute pictures. I had no idea that people got that inventive with fairy gardens. They're so fun. Yeah, that's just really cool. So I'm going to share a bit about working with spirits. So Amanda spoke to how the veil during Beltane, coming up on May 1st, is the time of Beltane, similar to Samhain, which occurs on November 1st, or the day after Halloween, that those two times of the year is when the veil is at its thinnest. So for Beltane, it's very appropriate to use that time of the year, or this upcoming time of the year on May 1st, to work with your ancestors, to leave gifts out for the fairies, like Amanda said, and or to deepen your relationship with your guides, with source, or with spirit. So let me share a bit about spirit work is mostly what I do. That's the predominant focus and aspect of my personal practice. So I'm just going to share a bit about how to get a little bit started with that and some things that you should keep in mind when working with spirit. So for one, I will say that the cleaner your body is, the more free it is from impurity, the easier it is to sense the subtleties that can come when working with spirit. So what I mean by that is no drugs, alcohol, smoking, saturated fats, trans fatty acids, processed sugar, processed foods in general. That's not to say that you can't have spirit work if your life consists of any of those things. It absolutely can. You can absolutely do spirit work. With that, I'm just letting you know that the cleaner your vessel is, the easier it is to work with subtle energies and nuances. And it also speaks to the type of high your body can experience when you're working in planes that are not of this material plane. Now I say subtleties and nuances because doing spirit work, not all spirits are that subtle. Some of them are kind of walk you upside the head kind of spirits. So it's not always a subtle little sensation, but a lot of it does have subtleties to it. So we want to increase our body's sensitivity to be able to pick up and receive these types of indicators and messages. So all the things I mentioned above about impurities, like the drugs, the smoking, low prana foods, essentially, those things, they further bind us to this material plane. And for deep spirit work, you want to transcend this material plane. And the best way to do that is to increase your body's sensitivity to other and essentially all that there is out there. So ways that you can increase your body's sensitivity is by keeping your body clean, free from impurities, keeping your systems fluid by circulating your body regularly. It's just kind of like a well-oiled machine. You don't want to leave mechanical things or machinery sitting and not using it properly because it will start to tear itself down organically. It'll start to break down. And our bodies are very similar. So circulating, getting our blood pumping, is then exercising and contracting and expanding all of our organs. It's kind of lubricating all of them so that they're able to keep and distribute the things that are needed and good for us to where they need to go. It's also allowing them to flush out and tear down and release toxins and materials that are harmful to the body and no longer needed. So without that circulation, things fester, they sit, they rot, and they organically begin to decompose and break down. So circulation and keeping your systems fluid, well lubricated is great. If exercise is not your jam, just try walking every day. Walking is all you need. Okay. So keep that in mind. Deepening your connection with your breath is a huge component that will increase your body sensitivity for doing deep spirit work. So breath not only has the ability to take you deeper into the body so that you are able to self-heal, but the breath can also take you further outside of the body. Okay. And so traveling outside of the body helps you journey beyond this material plane. So meditation is absolutely a great place to begin deepening your relationship with your own breath. Meditation will not only deepen your relationship with your own breath, also throughout your entire vessel, but it's going to help you experience on a very visceral level just how much you are not your body. So Meditation can teach you and open you up to a lot of things that are other and expose you to all that is out there. So meditation is a really wonderful thing to heighten your senses, deepen your awareness, expand your consciousness, and be much more open to receiving information as well. Information in relationships. And another thing to increase your body sensitivities is to deepen your connection with nature. So much of spirit is imbued in everything in nature, and nature itself has its own spirits of its own kind. There's animal spirits, tree, forest, flower spirits, the spirits of the insects and the creepy crawlies. Like, everything has spirit, it all has frequency, it all has resonance. So spending time in nature is really important. And it also, when you are out there, consider your time out there as an experiment of opening up all of your senses and really drinking in nature in a new way. So when you're out there, consider things like try to notice everything. What is the breeze doing? Is there a scent on the air? Notice the way the sunlight reflects on the leaves of the trees. Does there appear to be a communication or a dance happening between the breeze and the leaves and the branches of the trees? Are they talking to each other? What can you notice? What's happening with the overturned earth? Did an animal churn that earth? Was it insects coming up from underneath the earth and flipping dirt over? Are you looking at animal tracks? What's happening with the patterns on the ground? If you see fallen branches or grass that's pushed down into the earth, what caused that to happen? Try to take everything in. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you sense? What do you smell? Do you have a taste in your mouth when you're in certain parts of different landscapes around you? So try drinking in your environment as deeply and as best as you can. Make an afternoon out of it, where you're just trying to witness and observe all the things in nature that you don't normally pay attention to when you're on a walk and you're thinking about your exercise or your playlist. Unplug for a bit and just try to really be present with nature. Nature has so much to teach us every day, all the time. We have so much to learn from her and all of her being. So spending time in nature can teach you a lot about yourself and a lot about others and a lot about how you can better be of service to the earth and all of her beings, and can definitely deepen your body's sensitivities and experience to receive not just messages from, say, celestial beings, but from nature beings as well. Talking to plants and flowers and animals is really fun. And when you earn that relationship, they're quite talkative. Okay, so it can be a really, really lovely thing to experience. Now, having spirits to connect with is a really important part of any witch or warlock's journey. It helps you connect with what's out there. It helps remind you just how not alone we truly are, and to know that's really powerful given how separate and alone most people often feel. Okay, so seeing things outside of ourselves and as separate, the general populace feels this way. But to see all things as being connected is why, for many of us, witchcraft is inevitable, that it's such a beautiful and empowering perspective to hold close to your heart. And we're not alone in this thing called life. Far, far, far from it. And if we can remember how to live in harmonious connection with all things, the secrets of the universe begin to open themselves up to us and allow us to peer into those realities and to see deeper into those things. So what do I mean when I say deep spirit work? What do I mean by that, and why should you want to do it? Okay, why do you want to work with spirit? So deep spirit work pertains to working with spirits that can help you achieve and guide you into deeper understandings within yourself, with the universe and how it works. They can deepen your understanding and help guide you to your soul's purpose, which that's pretty important. Okay, we all want to be expressing and sharing ourselves with the world in ways that are completely authentic and unique unto us. And we don't exist in cultures that encourage us to express and live authentically from our soul's purpose. So spirit can absolutely guide you into unearthing what your soul's purpose truly is. So that's a really powerful thing that working with spirits can help you with. They can protect and guide you out of dangerous situations in your life, prevent you from getting into accidents or prevent you from encountering people who have an intent to harm anyone, things like that. They can send little indicators to you to trigger a response that, like, I shouldn't go over there, or I shouldn't get in my car right now, or what have you. They can teach us many things. The possibilities of what they share is just endless. Ultimately, it's how they help you become the best version of yourself. They can help guide you into the best versions of yourself. How to tap into your own intuition and your own universal wisdom that resides within you. All the answers we could possibly ever seek reside within us. We have access to infinite universal wisdom. It's just about removing the obstacles that are keeping us blind, in a sense, with blinders on, so that we can tap into this knowing that we really all have access to. It's about re-remembering, freeing ourselves from obstacles, freeing our body from impurities, all those kinds of things. Okay. And they also help us to how we can better contribute to the lives of others, human and non-human alike. Okay. They can also introduce you and guide you and protect you to encountering the innumerable species and creatures that do not exist on this material plane. Or if they are here, they're not easily seen unless you're a little more woke. Okay, so they can safely introduce you to intermingle with these other types of species and creatures. So the work you can do with spirits is really endless. It's kind of like having private tutors for life, but there are also doubling as your personal bodyguards, your therapists, your life coaches, and giving you loving support that you may or may not have been denied like for years growing up. So doing spirit work is really, really a wonderful thing. All of that being said, spirit work is something that should not be dabbled in. You don't want to dabble in spirit work. Spirituality in general is something that shouldn't be dabbled in because it's not for the faint-hearted. A lot of people perceive or see spirituality as all being teddy bears, butterflies, and rainbows. And that really just isn't the case. Spirituality, though it is extremely rewarding, and I know for myself, my spiritual path and my witchcraft path, like I wouldn't trade it in for anything, but it comes with a lot of challenges because it's all growth-based. So anytime you're experiencing growth, you are in states of uncomfortability. Okay, so it's not all fluffy and lovely. It can be very challenging. It can be very uncomfortable and constricted and contracted, and oh, I don't want to see those sides of myself. All of those things, all the deepest and darkest corners and different facets of yourself that you really don't like looking at, spirituality forces you to take a hard look in the mirror at all of those little dark corners and to work on your obstacles and your barriers every single day. So it's not for the faint-hearted. It's a challenge. It's a constant growth process. And once you get on that spirituality train, you're on it for good. Like you can't really jump off this train. So it's not meant for dabbling. People who are dabbling in spirituality, or they're perceiving and pursuing witchcraft as a fun hobby versus a lifestyle. If that is you, no judgment, but if that is you, I would not recommend spirit work for you. It's a commitment. It is forming deep connections, bonds, and relationships, and you want to honor the spirits you're working with. So they don't want to just be called upon and worked with when it suits you, a few times a year or whatever. They want a relationship as well. So we want to honor their time and their energy and their efforts in helping guide us into the best versions of ourselves. So it's a commitment. It is a commitment. So just something to keep that in mind. Okay, what else do I want to share? All right, now, is there a difference between spirits and ghosts? Yes, absolutely. Ghosts and lots of other entities out there are beings that are stuck, trapped, and or have unfinished business here before they can move on to wherever it is they need or are meant to go next. Okay, and not all spirits know that they have work to do in order for them to change their circumstances of where they are and where they're existing in this time and space. So a ghost is not the type of entity that you want to summon into your meditation practice and to invite them in to work with you and to teach you things. Like, that's not the type of energy you want to work with. But you can be of help and of assistance to ghosts if that type of work appeals to you. That being said, if you desire to work with ghosts and helping them transition or cross over, whatever you believe, I highly recommend that it's for folks who do not spook easily. You need to keep in mind that when working with ghosts, we have no idea how many attempts and how many efforts they have made to contact or connect someone in this material plane. And it might take their 3,000th effort or time before the veil actually drops, where you can actually see them and notice them for the very first time. And if it's their 3,000th try, it might just be that the moment you notice their existence, they are 1 inch away from your face, screaming at you at the top of their lungs. Okay, so it's not, things to think about is that not all ghosts, when you encounter something terrifying and frightening like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are in danger of that ghost like trying to murder you, even though that's how you might emotionally feel, because that's a very startling introduction. Okay, now not all spirits, celestial, ghosts, otherwise, not all spirits have your best interest at heart. So some of them are very frustrated, very constricted, contracted, very angry, probably because they've been trying to connect for so long unsuccessfully. Okay, that would be frustrating for anyone, right? Not being seen, not being heard. These are fundamental needs that we as humans need. So for spirits, it's no different. Okay, so yes, there are ghosts and entities and spirits that will try to harm you. So when doing spirit work or working with ghosts and trying to be of assistance to them, it's very important that you know how to protect yourself, and to just take an account with what their experience might be. Give a little compassion. What may they have been going through before they were actually able to successfully connect with you. Okay. So again, it's not for the faint-hearted. That type of work is not for everyone. I hate being scared, and it's not work that appeals to me. Working with ghosts, I've had plenty of experience with ghosts, but I'm not called to do that work. But bless the people who are willing to sacrifice their own comfort level to be of assistance and help usher and guide spirits and entities to their next place. That's really cool work. Not for me, but it's cool. Okay, so when I'm talking about spirits and spirit work, I'm referring to gods, goddesses, deities, celestial beings, beings that have infinite wisdom and experience, and whose purpose is to truly guide us humans lovingly along. Okay, those are the types of people you want in your council, for lack of a better word. And everyone has a council, whether you know it or not. There are beings that are watching over you, whether they're ancestors, feathered in with celestial beings, what have you. We each have these little guardians and protectors and people that are observing us, watching us, looking out for us. And doing spirit work, a big part of it, the important part of it, is to find out who your council really is, who comprises and makes up your council. Who's got your back all these years? Who's been watching out for you? And there's some who will be with you for your whole life, and there's others who will come in during a certain period of your life to help you through. Like, for example, if you're going through a divorce, you might herald in these new guides who have specialties in helping people through such a traumatic and emotional upturn, that they're there to be of assistance. And then when they're no longer needed, they move on. Okay, so spirit work is very fluid. Okay, some stay with you forever. You have others that come and go as they are needed. But those are the types of spirits that you want to seek out, form strong bonds with, and there's a good chance that they have been with you for a very long time. So if you're reaching out to spirit to find out who's in your council, or just kind of casting a net to find out who's out there, who can you connect with, who's interested in being a guide for you, things like that. If you reach out to spirit with the purest of intentions in your heart, in other words, not for personal gain, but to deepen your understanding with all things so that you may contribute to all creation and be its advocate and ally, spirit will always answer you. Okay, they'll always answer, support, and guide you at no cost to you. Okay, other than for you to commit to spend time with them. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything to have spiritual guidance and counsel. It really doesn't. Not everyone agrees with me, and that's okay. My particular experience and belief is that it's at no cost to me. Yes, I do have pictures of deities that I work with all over my home. I do that because I like them and I respect them, and seeing their images makes me feel good. Okay, so I like having images of them. But the only offering that I actually present to my guides is my time and my gratitude. So some people believe that you have to leave offerings of food and alcohol and trinkets and crystals and candles and all of these things. My personal experience is that you do not have to do that. And it's also that every spirit guide is different too. I have two different councils, and they both have many in them. But so far, no one's mad at me. I've been working with them for 16 years. But some spirits and entities may vocalize straight up, like, I would like to receive this each time you work with me, or whatever. And that's totally cool. But yeah, so there is that. When you're connecting with these types of spirits, the celestial beings, gods and goddesses and deities and things like that, one way to describe them is that they are light beings, okay? And those who work with light beings have been known to be considered practitioners of white magic. In other words, they're people who live and believe in the importance of doing no harm. Now, in contrast, because nature is balance, in contrast to that, if you reach out to spirit for the purposes of power, greed, control, domination, manipulation, revenge, exploitation, and or to further exemplify your own self-importance, you are going to attract very different entities and beings to work with. And the price to work with entities like that, the cost is always very high. Even if you are not aware or are able to recognize how high the cost truly is, excuse me, the cost is very high, and those are considered darker entities to work with. Now, dark doesn't mean bad; it just means different. Okay. But that being said, darker entities, they always have a hidden agenda. And what they are focusing on is how to earn your trust so that you can then be puppeted and or persuaded into doing their bidding for them. Okay, so it's a very manipulative relationship, and they have a hidden agenda and goal that they're not going to share with you. So it can be a very dangerous and volatile path to choose, and I am here to tell you that you absolutely do have a choice of the relationship, of who you invite into your life and the type of relationships that you truly desire to have. Okay, so please be careful with who you work with. And do you know that there are a ton of trickster spirits out there? And oh my gosh, they're getting more and more tricksy every day. Yeah, I've been encountering ones that have been really blowing my mind in terms of their inventiveness and creativeness and how long they've got me like stumped for in my practice. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you're not who I work with. Yeah. So just be aware that there are spirits out there who are really seeking a ride to elsewhere, and they are very cunning and crafty, and they're smart and savvy, and they know how to convince you that there's someone you do trust and someone you do work with. So, and I'll speak a little bit more to that in just 1 second. So things to know is that light beings, they will not make demands of you, and they're not going to try to convince you to do something for them. So that right there is a really good indicator of what type of being or entity you're working with, whether it's a light being or a dark being. Okay, so that's a really clear indicator. So things that are really important to know, to learn when you're doing spirit work is you want to identify who's in your council, who's truly watching out for you. That's like number one, super duper important. You want to spend time with them and get to know each one of them, so that if you do have little imposter spirits trying to propose and pretend as one of your council members, you want to know them so well that you can say, that's really uncharacteristic of this particular deity I work with. Like, are you who you really say you are? So you want to know who they are well enough that you're able to pick up on those cues of like, something's not right. Okay. Another thing that you really want to learn is protection and clearing. So protection, protecting yourself. When I say clearing, protecting yourself, that's obvious. Clearing, I do not mean smudging. Okay. Smudging is great and all of that, but smudging will not take care of super duper glommy spirits or spirits that are trying to possess your body and take over and kind of drive your body for you without your consent. So things of that level, you want to learn how to clear those energies, to lovingly release and usher them off and push, help them move away from you and more towards where they need to go. Okay. So that protection clearing is really important for you to learn. And you also want to learn what I call human dowsing. So several of you are probably very familiar with dowsing crystals, where it's a little crystal on a pendulum, and you ask questions, and depending on how it swings, you'll get yes or no responses, things like that. So the energy that moves that dowsing crystal this way or the other to give you answers, that energy comes from you. Okay. So I prescribe human dowsing because it means you're only seeking answers within yourself. You don't need anything outside of yourself to teach you where that infinite wisdom is. So human dowsing is a way of tapping into that infinite wisdom within yourself. So you can ask yourself yes or no questions or inquiries about, is this spirit who they really say they are? Or having conversations with your spirit guides. You can get answers from them and your body will move. Okay. So human dowsing is a really powerful tool to have in your toolkit. Helps you communicate with others. It helps you identify who's really who. It helps you tap into your infinite wisdom. It deepens your intuition. That's a really powerful thing to learn. And the reason you need all of these tools is because the more light you give off, the more work you do with light beings, the more you yourself become bright. You brighten. When you're stepping closer to your highest purpose, the brighter you become. And the brighter you are, the more attractive you appear to darker entities. Darker energies are being drawn to you like a moth to a flame. Okay. And they're not drawn to you to harm you. It's because they see your light and they're mistaking you for a doorway, a place where they can travel from where they are that they don't want to be into the next place of wherever that is. Okay. Or where they need to go. So you're going to get mistaken for a doorway. The more spiritually woke you become, the more you work with light beings, your being is going to get brighter and brighter and brighter. So these things of knowing who your counsel is, human dowsing, and protection clearing are so beneficial to you because you're going to become more of a shiny object, and you'll want to be able to clear successfully. And it's very easy. It's not difficult to do. It's a very easy practice, and it's just beneficial. Okay, it's a good thing to know. So please make note of any questions you have on any of the content we've shared thus far. If we have time, we're going to address your questions at the end of this call. And if not, please email them to us and we will respond very promptly, right away, within the next day or two. We'll respond to you. Our email is urbanoracle@gmail.com. That's HERBNORACLE@gmail.com. Okay, but hopefully we'll have time. We're doing good on time so far. I'm going to segue us into our love magic portion of our Beltane celebration. And I'm sharing with you now a sex ritual that is very appropriate for Beltane. So Katie mentioned in the history of Beltane that this is a time of fertility and purity. It's a time of unifying the divine masculine and divine feminine energy. That both of those energies are needed for all life to flourish and to grow and connect and thrive. Okay, so with this Beltane sex ritual, this can be modified for any dynamic of relationship, including those who are single. So if you're single, this can you can be working with the divine feminine and divine masculine aspects of yourself. Okay, and it can become a self-compassion, self-love ritual. You can modify this for same-sex couples as well, as long as you're incorporating that missing gender, honoring the divine gender that's missing in your same-sex relationship can absolutely be modified, no problem. So this ritual is really for everybody, and you can get creative about how to tinker with it to make it your own. Okay, so these are just a suggestion. Okay, so performing this sex ritual with a member of the opposite sex during Beltane is the purpose of it is it's a tremendous way to restore and replenish your energy reserves for the year ahead. So it's kind of like a weird way to charge your human battery for the year by merging masculine and feminine energy. That's what gives us this recharge for the year. And the best way to recharge your battery is through union, i.e. consummation, okay, through physical union through sex. So that's the greatest way to combine those two energies is through sexual union. So think of this as a really fun way to recharge your internal battery until next year's Beltane. Make an annual tradition out of it, find new and fun ways to ritualize this act. And keep in mind that this act, there's archetypes at work. So with this sex ritual, we're honoring the goddess, the divine feminine in our significant other, and we're honoring the god, the divine masculine in our significant other. Those are the two archetypes at work that you want to keep in your mind's eye the entire time you're interacting and spending this ritual with your partner. Keynotes to remember about this ritual is, excuse me if I'm swearing, but you want to honor and savor the shit out of each other's archetypes, okay? So really looking to honor and bless and be humbled by and proud to be in the presence of and to be connected to be the one chosen to be connected to the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Okay, there is a beauty in this exchange and in this relationship, and to keep that in mind as you two are connecting with each other. Another keynote, go primal, whatever that means to you, go primal in this. It might be a time for you guys to be a little more wild or animalistic or feel more alive in nature, less inhibitious, things like that. Go primal, whatever that means to you, keep it in your mind. Okay. In this ritual, you want to honor the cosmos, the ancestors, the spirits, the elements stirring within you and around you while your bodies are merging together. You want to acknowledge and try to witness the contributing factors and entities and spirits that are working together to allow you to merge. Okay, so you want to keep those things in mind while you guys are connecting. You will also want to think about and acknowledge that everything that holds your bodies together, not just sexually, but as individuals even, everything that holds your body together is as old as the earth. So we're talking, your body is comprised of things that are 4.5 billion years old. And yes, our body recycles itself and all this yada, yada, yada. But what it's recycling itself from is 4.5 billion old matter and materials. The water that's on our planet has been here since the dawn of time. The air on our planet has been here since the dawn of time, the land, all of that. So there's some very ancient, old affinities at play within our individual being. And now we're mingling with another ancient entity and being and those beautiful ancient archetypes. So there's some really old, wise, powerful energy that's being exchanged through this union. And I want to invite you to take knowledge and witness of that in this ritual. The other key thing to remember is that you want to attempt to climax together in your sex ritual together. So to do this, you want to, first of all, you want to invite your partner to study this ritual with you from start to finish so that you guys can make arrangements and make plans together about who's going to bring what, and you're going to work as a team together to so everyone's on the same page. So don't verbally share this with them. Let them read it, read your notes, or have them watch this video on YouTube as well. Skip to the end and watch this section. But to climax together, what you want to do is you guys want to establish this agreed upon rule that when any one of you, either one of you, gets to a point in your sex play together where sensation-wise, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's too late, I've climaxed, and 1 being I'm not experiencing a lot of sensation right now, when either one of you gets to a level 7, you want to say 7 to your partner. Or if you want to create a sexier word than 7, go for it, but create a code that means you're at a 7 on that scale. And when you hit 7, it means you want to pull back a little and slow down the play you're doing. Okay. So because by 8, 9, and 10 happen really quickly. They're stacked heavily upon each other. As soon as you hit 8, it's kind of point of no return. It's a little too late because it goes 8, 9, 10, just zooms straight to the top. Okay, so when you hit 7, if you pull back just a little bit, then you're going to keep coming up against that 7 edge. And when you are both able to sustain that 7 by slowly pulling back and then continuing to play, and it might build a little bit, you say 7 again, slowly pull back, continue to play. Whenever you're able to ride that 7, you're going to experience what's called a valley orgasm. Okay, so your orgasm, instead of it being like a big burst of energy that requires a recovery period or where there's quite stillness for a minute, valley orgasms, they don't stop. They're like ocean waves. They rise and swell and fall and crest and peak and dip and all of that. So they're just going to keep lingering on and on and on and on and on. And it provides a very different sensation, but it allows the partners to continue celebrating, honoring, and connecting and sharing in a way that may or may not be new to them, okay, as together. Okay, so trying to climax together. If and when you do climax together, you want to try to open yourselves up to receiving a direct link to all things. Now, not everyone experiences what I refer to as spiritual sex. Once you have spiritual sex, you kind of never want to have any other type of sex ever again. But when you climax, climaxing is one of many ways to have a direct link to source, to all that is. There is this conscious expansion that explodes open when people climax. So trying to open your awareness to be an observer to that sensation, it's a lot easier to experience when two people are climaxing at the same time. Okay, so you want to consider what is it you're sensing with all of your sensors, not just thinking about your genitalia in that moment, but your whole being. What are you picking up on? What are you sensing? Who might be opening a door and inviting you into something much bigger than yourself? Consider that. For some people, it feels like they're literally being like touched by the universe. You might see light, you might see stars, the cosmos, you might see moving energy, you might see light and color and energy refracting off of your partner. Okay, you might see flashbacks of lives you lived with this specific person in other times. Okay, so trying to open up your consciousness and your awareness as to what more is going on than just the two of you in this union and what the two of you are actually connected to. It's so much greater than you. Okay, so try expanding your awareness into that. And the last key reminder to think about during this ritual is soul gazing. So soul gazing, the eyes are often referred to as the windows of the soul. So trying to stay connected with your partner's eyes as much as you can. It's hard not to close your eyes when sensations get really high, but as much as you can, and sometimes that requires slowing the sex down a bit, being more conscious and mindful with your movements, okay? Slowing it down enough to really savor and enjoy each other's experience, enjoy each other's breath, and your connection. So soul gazing is really looking at your partner in the eye. Try to acknowledge every little iota about their eye, the color, the flecks of light, the flecks of different colors in their iris, the glossiness in their eyes, like really drinking in their eyes, and try to peer beyond the eyes. What's behind the eyes? And I don't mean little crazy tendons and stuff like that. I mean their soul. Like, can you peer through the eye into the essence of who they really are while you're connecting with them? And it's through soul gazing that you will likely see, if you have shared other lives with the significant other that you're doing this ritual with and you're soul gazing with, if you've shared other lives with this person, it's really likely and very possible for you to witness their face shapeshift into the identity and face of the other versions of them that you have known. Okay, so that's not a startling thing to witness. Just know that it can happen. Okay, that you'll witness their face kind of, and it's kind of like a translucent fuzzy shift, but you'll start seeing different features kind of emerge from their face to form a different face, and that face is going to be so familiar to you. In a way that it really touches you to know that you've known this person so much longer than you ever thought. Okay, so soul gazing is a really powerful way to connect with your partner in a new way and bring about a deepened relationship that you might not have known was ever there. So that's the last key reminder to remember while doing this. Okay, all right, so the sex ritual itself. So you want to review the entire ritual together, discuss how, as a team, how you are going to make your preparations. And if I'm going too fast, please unmute yourself and tell me to slow down. Okay. All right. Now, as a couple in a team, you're going to create a sacred oil concoction. You're going to make this together, and you're going to use it as an anointing oil on the day of your Beltane sex ritual. This is why we're doing this class a whole week in advance, so you have plenty of time to prepare. Okay. So it's best to make your sacred oil concoction a few days in advance of Beltane, just so that it's done and you don't have to think about it. Just make it a few days in advance of May 1st, next week. You're going to want to combine sacred herbs that are sacred to the two of you. Okay, agree upon what herbs those will be. Essential oils. Make sure that the essential oils you are using are so pure that you can eat them like supplements. Okay, because this anointing oil does get applied to your mouth. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you want to use extremely pure essential oils. A carrier oil, again, make sure the carrier oil is edible. An easy one is fractionated coconut oil. It means that the coconut oil always stays liquid. Okay, fractionated coconut oil. It'll always stay liquid, so that's a great base. Sesame oil is another great base, especially if both of you are people who are cold a lot. You always have cold hands, cold feet. Sesame oil is very warming, so that's a great oil to use as your base as well. And you can also infuse this oil with gems or crystals, provided that they don't break down in water and liquids. So just do your research and make sure they can be put in a liquid without breaking off. Because if they start to break down, those little remnants of crystal can cut you when you apply it to your skin. So like just be mindful about what you stick in your bottle. Okay, store your sacred oil concoction, your anointing oil, in a glass container. When you're using pure essential oils, they will eat through any material that's synthetic. Plastic, styrofoam, they're going to chew right through it. So that's a good indicator if your oils are not pure. So you want to use glass to be safe, okay? And also, essential oils are volatile. They evaporate with oxygen, with air. So you want to make sure you have an airtight lid on your bottle, okay? A cork or a screw top, whatever it is, make sure it's capped and put together very well. Yes, ylang-ylang is awesome for feminine libido. Thank you, Amanda. All right. You want to say a blessing and state an intention while the two of you are creating this oil together. Take turns adding ingredients to it and state a blessing over all of the ingredients. State your intention as you build it. And you also want to say a blessing of gratitude when you've completed creating it. Okay, so make sure you keep those things in mind. You want to announce in your intention the desired effect you want this oil to achieve. Something along the lines of you want it to heighten pleasure between the two of you. You want it to heighten your awareness of drinking in their divine archetype. Things like that. You want to deepen your connection, the two of you, with cosmic energy. You want to tap into source by using this oil. Things along those lines. Get creative, but state your intention while, like at the beginning and while you're building this sacred oil together. Okay? Now, the day before Beltane, you want to spend this day apart. Find a friend's house to stay at, or one of you, or whatever you got to do. You don't get to see each other for an entire day before May 1st. Okay? This is spending this day apart builds anticipation for this sex ritual to come the very next day. It'll build excitement up in both of you. And if you're single, I don't know what you would do, like cover your mirrors. I have no idea. And I'm not making fun. I'm single, so I literally am like, what? I don't know how I would do that. Build anticipation with myself. I'm not sure. So whatever feels right, I guess. So during your day of isolation, you can, however, talk on the phone with each other to plan your Beltane celebration. Who's going to bring what altar items, discuss grocery lists, who's bringing what camping gear. That's right. If you can do this outside somewhere, this ritual will be mind-blowing amazing. Try to do this union in the elements, outdoors if possible. So camping gear, agreed upon incantations, etc. This is a great day to plan everything out, talk it over, and you might need more than just this day, but this is a good day for tying up loose ends, okay? The day apart. Now, on your day apart, you want to drink more water than usual, and you want to consume more fruits than usual. The fruits specifically should be berries, peaches, and or nectarines. Consume both liquids and fruits intentionally. So you want to state an intention of why you're consuming these fruits. An example would be, I am drinking this water today, or I'm eating these peaches today to become a sumptuous feast for my partner. Okay, so bring intention into the drinking of this hydration of water and these fruits you're eating. The hydration is going to allow your body to have more natural slippery lubrication during sex, which is always very friendly. That's very helpful to avoid chafing and discomfort and things like that. So the hydration will really help. And the fruit is going to make both of your arousal juices sweeter to the taste for your partner, okay, which is just fun and thoughtful. Okay, you do not want to drink alcohol on this particular night. Don't drink alcohol on this night, and definitely try to avoid alcohol before the sex ritual actually takes place. You can bring alcohol to drink after the fact if you like, but drinking alcohol is going to soak up all the hydration in your body. You won't have like self lubrication. It won't work very well. You'll get dehydrated more easily, and that can also affect your stamina. So alcohol before this on your day apart, not recommended. Just FYI. So on the day of Beltane, you guys want to construct together as a team some sort of altar or shrine, okay? Resembling and honoring the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the coming of summer, or the sun, celebrating the return of the sun, things like that. You want your altar to represent the elements. If you're doing this outside, or if you're doing it inside, especially if you're doing it inside, you want to really invite the elements into your ritual together, okay? So you want to give reverence to strength, balance, life, and energy. Invite in the 5 elements of spirit, fire, water, air, and earth. Declare, so inviting in the elements, this is separate. You have your altar. Now you want to invite in the elements. So this is an invocation that you're inviting the elements into the two of you's ritual together, or with the ritual with yourself, okay? That you are asking them to show up. You're asking them to help assist you in having a very cosmic and beautiful and connected and divine union, okay? A very conscious and mindful union. You can call on the elements for assistance in heightening your experience and heightening your awareness of each other and with all things that you are connected to, because we are connected, okay? So if you're not in touch with that, invite them in and ask for their help in helping you feel that connection, okay? So you want to invite in the 5 elements. To ensure that the 5 elements are present for your ritual, you can add to your altar or around the sacred site outdoors, a campsite or what have you, in the wild, or a place in your home, whether it's around where the ritual takes place, or if you want to just kind of confine it to the altar shrine that you create. Candles for fire is great. Use fire safety if you're outside. Make sure you're not going to like set a forest on fire and be mindful, please. Take care of the earth. Earth, you can use plants, trees, leaves, flowers, essential oils, animal tokens. You can literally collect some dirt from the earth and create a sacred little space for that dirt as to represent and invite in the element of earth. Water, you can bring water, blessed water, river stones. If you can pick a sacred site near a waterfall or a moving body of natural water, amazing. Okay, amazing. A bowl of anointing water, things like that. For air, you can use incense, you can use feathers, anything that you can think of to draw in that element of the air. If you're indoors, it could be a fan. Okay. Whatever it is, you want to bring intention and focus into acknowledging its presence and its existence and how it could be benefiting the two of you in that moment. And then invite in the beautiful many, the powers that be, whoever your council is, to elevate and supercharge your union and your night together. Okay, so you've set up your altar, you've done your invocation. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to eat dinner together naked. Okay, so take turns saying a blessing over the food that you guys have brought, and what your desired effect of that food, what that desired effect you want the food to have. You want to bless and say an intention over the food before you begin eating it. So an example would be, may every bite of this meal I feed you unlock hidden doorways of pleasure within you. Within every bite, Ripples of pleasure surge throughout your entire body, and by the time you finish the last bite, you will be overcome with a feverish desire to merge our bodies together. Woo woo. Okay. And it's an example, things of that nature. The foods that you want to bring to this are aphrodisiac foods. You want to bring foods that you can eat with your hands as much as possible. Okay, so like honeyed breads, pistachios, grapes, fruit, chocolate, sushi, things like that. Things that you can pick up and eat with your hands. If you are incorporating alcohol during this meal, let it be wine. There's some sacredness around wine, especially when working with deities. Wine is often depicted with deities and used. But don't have more than a single glass. Again, it's really going to dehydrate your body. If you can, save the wine for after your sex ritual. Okay. Do not overeat. That will ruin your whole night. Don't overeat or eat until you are full. Don't do it. Okay. Don't panic when you're eating. Just eat enough to be satiated, because you can revisit your plate of like finger foods after the ritual. It's not going anywhere. You can have more later. Okay? So don't overeat or eat until you're full. That will not be fun for you. To further build anticipation at that point after you have eaten, if you guys are comfortable feeding each other, you don't have to feed each other the whole time, but if you're comfortable receiving food from your partner's fingers, it's a way to further soul gaze, connect, and share intimacy and things like that. So try to allow opportunities for that, but if it's outside your comfort zone, you can just enjoy good conversation and eat together. Like, it's not a big deal, you know. This whole thing is due to the level of your own comfort. Okay. Okay, so to further build anticipation after you've eaten your dinner together, you're going to take out your sacred oil concoction that you both made together, and you're going to decide who's going to go first. So whoever is doing the anointing, they're going to anoint all of these places I'm mentioning, and the other person's going to receive the oil, and then you'll switch. So it's not like I anoint your third eye, then you anoint mine, then I anoint this, and then you anoint this. No. That takes away from being able to honor the divine archetype of the other. So you want to just take turns, do all of it for one person and then switch. Okay. So decide who goes first, and you're going to start by anointing your partner's third eye. Then you're going to anoint their lips. Again, make sure that what you put in your concoction is food safe in case any of that gets ingested. Okay. You're going to apply oil to their neck. This is very loving touch, very gentle, loving touch. You can massage it in if you want to, or it can just be like a stripe. It depends, you know, but really, like, I feel like the more time you're spending connecting with the person's skin, the more closer you're drawing to your partner. Okay. Loving touch is very important, and we don't often touch our partners with this type of intentionality. So really savor it, make it a lengthy process. And this is about honoring those divine archetypes. That's the whole point of using this sacred oil. It's really allowing you to experience honoring the divinity of your significant other. Okay? So anoint their neck, their collarbones, their breasts or pecs, their sternum, their spine, their hip bones, their wrists, all sides of the knee, all the way around the knee, the ankle, and the feet. Okay? You're applying this oil slowly and with intent to worship each other's divinity, goddess divinity or god divinity. Okay? Now, this energy build works best, like I said, if you anoint all the things on one person and then you switch. Restate the intention you created at the beginning of this anointing ceremony. Restate the intention you stated when you were creating this sacred anointing oil. So make a note of what you said you wanted this oil to achieve. You want to restate that before you begin applying it. Okay, so you're bringing that attention back into this ritual. Express gratitude and blessings for the magic this anointing oil is providing both of you, that it's bringing you closer together. Yeah, acknowledge that before you begin anointing each other's bodies. Okay, now after you both are anointed, okay, now it's time to have sex. Okay, so you want to have sex outside in nature if at all possible. It doesn't have to be outside or in nature, but it definitely helps. So camping in a remote area is a great way to achieve this and to celebrate Beltane. Don't forget soul gazing during sex, maintaining eye contact with each other as much as possible. Notice and drink in every detail of your partner's eyes and see if you can see their soul behind their eyes. That soul gazing is a really important piece of doing intentional and ritualistic sex work. Okay, so definitely incorporate that in. And have sex according to the key reminders that we offered at the beginning. And make sure that whatever you're doing is both consensual, it's both within the two of you's comfort zones, and that it's, you guys are taking your time and building this new type of trust and connection with each other, that you feel comfortable and confident enough to express yourself, whether it's pleasure or whether it's concerns, that you're able to have those conversations in a very safe and sacred way. Okay, so the sex component of this ritual, there's no guidelines about it. I said go primal. That was the only note I gave you. Go primal, honor the ancestry, honor the ancientness within each of us, honor the things that we're all connected to. Other than that, how you have sex or whatever is completely individualistic. It's up to you guys. Okay. Now, when you are closing your sex ritual, you're going to want to sit in what's called yum yum. People who love yum yum call it, shorten it and call it yum yum because it's really great. But yum yum is a tantric, masculine and feminine unifying position. It's wonderful to do in same-sex couples as well. It feels just as beneficial. You don't have to be one man, one woman, what have you, to enjoy yum yum. But basically what it is, it's a unifying resting pose. Okay, it's a unifying resting pose. So essentially, the man is sitting on the earth, he's sitting cross-legged, and the woman is sitting also cross-legged, but she's sitting in his lap, facing him with her legs wrapped around his torso. Okay, so she's facing him, and essentially you're kind of in the position of a hug. Okay, so you're really like pretzel twisted, braided together, and this, for heterosexual couples or couples that have both genders at play here, it's best when you sit in yum yum at the end of your sex ritual to come down off of your sexual high, that the man is still inside his partner when you sit in yum yum. Okay, and it's a resting pose. It's not about ooh la la stimulating. It's about connecting heart to heart and resting together in this unifying position. Okay. So just hold each other, breathe together in a very natural way in reverence, humility, and honoring the divinity of each other. Replenish yourselves after yum yum with feeding each other again, drinking lots of water. You can bring out the wine now to celebrate this very sacred time you spent connecting with one another. Okay, and definitely be sure you do not forget to give thanks and many blessings to all you've invited into your ceremony. Give blessings and thanks to all the 5 elements you've called in, your council you've called in. If you felt a connection with the cosmos and the ancestors and the stars and things like that, thank all of them for being there with you and holding space for the two of you. And that night, give thanks and gratitude for all that showed up for you in that ritual before you bring your Beltane ritual to a close. Okay. So I hope you took really good notes and you learned some fun things about this ritual. I'm sorry I wasn't able to read the chat as I was sharing. So I'll go through and peek at the chat here in a moment. We mentioned a lot of things today, a lot of content. that may or may not be of interest to you in learning deeper about it. So I want to tell you really quickly where and how you can learn more about several of these things. So if you'd like to learn how to perform a fire ceremony, what you will do is visit our website of www.urbanoracle.com, and you want to go to our offerings tab. The offerings tab has a button you can click that says fire ceremony, and basically you get access to rent for 72 hours. Purchasing the fire ceremony, it'll give you 72 hours to view that video, where you'll learn different types of fire ceremony, ways to perform fire ceremony, when to perform fire ceremony, things like that. So that offering is going to be made available before Beltane. So between now and May 1st, I'm going to unlock for the first time that particular offering. Okay, so that's going to be launched within this next week. If you subscribe to our website for free, you will receive an email from us before May 1st that tells you exactly when that service has been launched. Okay, so all the things I'm mentioning, they'll all be in the same email that says all these things are now available. So if you subscribe to our email list, okay, you'll get a notification about when it's exactly available. Now, if you want to learn how to make a mega potent witch's ladder, so the one I showed you, that traveling witch's ladder, okay, these are available in our shop. I'll talk about them in a sec. So this is a very basic one. Again, it's about stretching and flexing your salt weaving muscle. But if you want to learn how to make a really mega potent mega mama witch's ladder, then we do have a course or a video on how to do that. So again, it's in the offerings tab of our website, urbanoracle.com, and it's how to make a witch's ladder. Again, you have 72 hours to access the content of that video. Take great notes, but we'll walk you through that one as well. If you want to learn how to connect with spirits and how to learn human dowsing, if those two things interest you, you're going to want to visit our mentoring tab. Okay, and for those particular two things, we can cover both topics in one mentoring session, and the button you want to click on is the one that says Witchcraft over Coffee. That particular mentoring category is kind of a smorgasbord of, we will focus on whatever you want to learn. As long as it's not a different service I already provide, we can talk about those two things. So I don't have spirit work specific categories or human dowsing categories, so we can cover both those topics in one mentoring session of Witchcraft over Coffee. If you would like to learn a very potent and effective method for protection and clearing for yourself, this is work that you would do to protect yourself from super glommy, dark entities that are trying to take over your body without your consent. If you want to learn how to clear on that level, then I do have a mentoring session that is protection and clearing in one, and it's specifically for that purpose. So again, that one is also in the mentoring tab. If you'd like to deepen your own intuition to learn how to tap into your own universal wisdom, and you're very interested in diving into and deepening your own witchcraft practice, we do have a certificate program called Wake the Witch Within, and our next launch of that program is on June 9th and 12th. You have an option of being a part of a Saturday group or a Wednesday group. You can pick. So if you're interested in learning more about that program, just go to the programs tab of our website and you can read more about it. It's called Wake the Witch Within, and it launches again in June. Okay. And if you'd like to purchase that traveling witch's ladder that comes with a little book, it's a limited series. I made my sewing machine cry when I made them because the material's so thick. So I have only a few of them right now. So if you want to get your hands on a limited series, it comes with a carabiner that you can clip on to whatever you want, and it comes with that little instruction booklet. That item will also be launched between now and May 1st. So again, subscribe, you'll get an email from us when it becomes available in our shop. Okay, we have a little under 15 minutes. So if anyone, thank you so much for listening. That was a whole lot of talking. I'm grateful you're still here. If any of you have any questions or would like to share how you celebrate Beltane, please feel free to unmute yourself and let us know how we can help or share. I'll turn it over to you. Anybody? Katie or Amanda, do you guys have ways that you celebrate Beltane differently?
Well, this is my first Beltane celebration.
Nice.
So, no, I'm going to just do like the things that I've learned so far and then kind of experiment with them and see what I'll want to incorporate in my yearly rituals.
Nice. Thank you so much to the two of you for responding to the chat. That was very helpful. Thank you so much. Every time a little one flickered, I was like, oh my God, I can't read it. Or I'm going to be like, what? What does it say? Awesome. So great.
Oh, yeah.
Katie, have you done anything fancy for Beltane before?
I have made the little miniature desktop kind of maypoles before.
Cool. Do you have pictures?
I don't know if I have pictures.
If you find one, I'd love for you to share it with us on our platform.
Yeah, I can do that.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I'll go through my stuff and see what I can find. A lot of my stuff is still like packed up because my apartment's so small.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll try to find some pictures.
Do you have any Beltane specific makeup? Our Sabbat makeup queen?
I have an idea of doing something like fire inspired.
Ooh, yeah.
I bought some specialty makeup brushes that can do like really small detail work. So if I'm feeling better next weekend, I might try to do something and I'll post pictures on.
Yeah, do. Oh, that sounds so fun. I cannot wait to see that. We should have you do our makeup sometime.
That'd be fun.
That would be really fun. You could totally jazz us all up. I have lots of costumes, so I can definitely provide really weird outfits, but you can do our faces.
Cool.
All right, cool. Well, if you guys do, either of you have anything else you'd like to add before we close?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Katie, we hope you feel so much better. Thank you so much for being with us. We miss you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you for joining us on this call. Feel free to check back on our YouTube channel at Urban Oracle for all of our Sabbath celebrations as they unfold. So speaking of Litha, our Litha celebration is, I'm not positive if we're going to be doing it live or if we're going to pre-record it and then post it on YouTube or not, because I will be gone the week of Litha, starting a few days before Litha and then the whole following week. So I'm not positive how we're going to do that, but if you stay connected with us on Instagram or Facebook or through our website, any of those ways you stay connected with us, you will receive a notification about how our Litha celebration is going to go down. So definitely connect with us, stay connected, and we'll be in touch. Okay, thank you so much for coming. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.